where they always just had their brand as the first word. And their brand was so long. It's like, okay, I understand that this is caviar, but what caviar am I actually looking at? Is it roe caviar, czar caviar, sturgeon caviar, beluga caviar? So I took those search terms, which I saw in the report, and just put in the front. And I saw a very large increase in CTR. I don't remember how much it was, but that from the gate is all you need sometimes to just test and see, okay, I just need to kind of rearrange things. Why is my first word men's? Blah, blah, blah. I know, you know what I'm saying? Make the actual search term that is unique as an identifier the first thing. Hi, everybody. My name is Gene Villanos from the PPC Cave, and this is my co-host Ryan Fenton. Say hello, Ryan.
Hi guys, how you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and it's 2025, and we are back. How was the end of your year, 2024, Ryan?
Really productive. Just as Gene and I were talking before we hopped on to record, I wanted to try and lay the seeds and lay the foundations for 2025, get as much done as I possibly could, and also get a bit of a head start of the year. I don't know about the listeners, the watchers, but for me, when I come back, it usually takes me a week or two to get back into the swing of things. What was I doing? What did I leave off on? This, that, and the other. So, wanted to try and give myself as much prep as I could for 2025. And lo and behold, it paid off because I've kind of just eased into the new year and I'm busy and yeah, it's all going good. How about you? How was Christmas? How was New Year? How was 2024? And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas and New Year was, good just because it's the time that we can really like focus. Like throughout the year as a freelancer and I work a 9 to 5 also. We get really caught up, especially if you're career driven like me and Ryan. So being forced to sit and not be fidgety and not be worrying about this and that, for just even a little bit, if it's either Christmas or New Year's, I think it's always good to recenter and, like Ryan says, get a head start and maybe even think about what you want to accomplish in the next year. So yeah, all is well. Um, but for today, since it is a new year and it's 2025, and y'all have been with us since 2024, we're starting a new series. And in this series, it's just basically going to be called our Google Merchant Center series. And we're just going to provide you one tip each on how to optimize and make your Google Merchant Center better, just because Performance Max has been popular and will steadily become more popular in the future, along with Performance Max Feed Only, aka the new smart shopping. Those are only becoming popular. I use Feed Only almost in all of my campaigns, to be perfectly honest. And so we need to make sure that Google Merchant Center is not forgotten just because it's not living on the actual Google Ads interface doesn't mean we can ignore it, right? So, Ryan, any thoughts before we dive into our tips?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good intro into the new series. And I think Google Merchant Center is often overlooked. As much as we are Google Ads account managers, you could also say we're Google Merchant Center account managers as well, because we do so much. I was in there today actually creating custom labels and things like that. And that's like a little bit of a sneaky peek about what my topic is going to be about. But yeah, there's so much depth and, customization that you can do inside Google Merchant Center, especially for online retail and e-commerce. It can't be overlooked. And yeah, I think that's why Google Merchant Center is underrated, actually. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say it's underrated and, it's oftentimes overlooked. But that's why it warrants its own series that Gene and I are going to go through and give some tips and advice on how to maximize Google Merchant Center.
Yeah. In Google Merchant Center, I feel like this year, last year we had 50-50, right? It was Google Merchant Center next and then Google Merchant Center old gen. So it's now we have next. So we're totally on one page. We have one interface that we can speak on. And for me, I actually like Next just because there are some things that you can do just natively with the filters that don't require anything that has to do with maybe supplemental feeds or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, diving in, I can take the first point, and I only have 1 point, but sometimes you only need 1 point to make a big impact, right? And for me, it is product title optimization. And I not only want to provide actionable tips here, but I also want to provide more of the process and the insight of why we do these things, just because it's easier to be more motivated and understand, hey, this isn't just Gene and Ryan saying do this, it's Gene and Ryan saying do this because we've had XYZ results because we did this. So the first thing, product title optimization. And I think that's maybe one of the biggest factors that Google Ads and Google uses to match searcher with an actual product. And I know this isn't, something new, but Google Merchant Center optimization works for your Google Shopping or what we call product listing ads. So obviously this is more towards an e-commerce store, right? So yeah, getting that out of the way. So product title is, very important, and understanding the difference between your Shopify or your, WooCommerce or Wix title is it has to be different, aka longer on Google Merchant Center. Longer, I'll get into that later, but know that I have a lot of clients in the past that want to make their Shopify title so aesthetic, so minimal. It's 3 words. And I'm like, okay, that is very, UI, UX friendly maybe for the Shopify user itself. But if we are already at the page, the product page, that's not the issue. We have to fight against all these different people on this very, very large search engine called Google.com. And that's why we do product title optimization, not because, of anything other than we need to stand out on that specific platform, Google Shopping. So understand product title on your Google Merchant Center is different from your Shopify title. Some people get freaked out. Some clients say, "Oh, I don't want this to look." No, it's two different things. Okay, so we want to get that out of the way. But we want to make sure we use the same language and search terms that your customers are using on your search term report in Google Ads. And this does not come immediately, because obviously if we started a new campaign today, we're not going to have any search terms or search report to look at because we don't have any data. But I believe it's very important as you grow as an advertiser on Google Ads, as you get historical data on Google Ads, if it be on your search campaign, if it be on your shopping campaign, if somehow you've uploaded a Mike Rhodes script that shows you more information on PMax, use those search terms, because at the end of the day, we want to be where the attention is. We want to be where the searchers are. And if your specific term is not showing up on a search report in Google Ads, then that's money left on the table for sure. So I think that's important. Have your basic, evolution. I call it version 1.0 of your product title, Google Merchant Center. And once you get more search terms, you could start to incorporate more of what you're actually seeing in Google Ads. Any thoughts on that, Ryan, before I continue?
Yeah, it's one of the most important things that you can do inside Google Merchant Center is product title optimization. Like you said, Gene, it's not changing your product titles themselves, on the website. We're not asking you to rename this t-shirt what we think it should be called or anything like that. You can call it whatever you want, but for the purposes of the product feed of the data source from Google Merchant Center into Google Ads, what people see on the front end, the product listing ad, as it's called, that's what we're talking about. Just optimizing that title so that people can find it easily. And there's two parts to this. Obviously, when it comes to things like standard shopping, even Performance Max to a degree, we don't have keywords to bid on. You know, it's almost like we bid on the products themselves. So in order to maximize the visibility on the Google Shopping channel, we need to sprinkle some keywords into the title itself, into the product title itself. So it could be something like, and I'm going to shout out, I think it's Data Feed Watch, who do some fantastic articles on this, really giving good examples of what to include product titles. So check that out. But brand or okay, so what the product is, the color, the size, and then the brand at the end, for example, something like that is a good product title because you're giving people as much information about what that product is as possible. And not only that, if you, for example, we like to use sneakers and trainers as examples. If you were looking for like a Nike, like Air Jordans, 11 or something like that. Well, if you've got a title that's like Nike shoes, you're not going to find the right type of people. But if you have a descriptive product title, Nike, Air Jordan 11, size 44 or whatever it might be, then you know maximize visibility, higher chance of getting that sale, that getting that conversion. And not only that, people might even say, well, they might not search Nike Air Jordan 11s, they might just say Air Jordan 11 size 44. That could be the search term in Google. And because you've got that in the product title, your ad will pop up, your products will pop up, and there's a high chance of people purchasing that product. I had some mailbox clients in the US for a little while, and a lot of the times they would search, the search terms would come through on like a 4x4, 8x8, 16 by whatever it might be, mailbox type of size. And that is like, well, if somebody's looking for a 1624 size mailbox for their apartment or whatever it might be, then it's clear as day what they're looking for. But if someone's just looking for, say, mailboxes, that's the difference. There's a higher chance of getting that sale, getting that inquiry through 24 mailbox, UPS, whatever it is, rather than just mailboxes. So be as descriptive as possible. Sometimes sizing, sometimes dimensions, weight can really give that extra added factor to get that sale. So that's all I would say on that.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Ryan just said, and I, it's basically well, the goal is Google needs to understand what your product is, and what better place to start than the title, just because there's a lot of bearing on something that is the first thing that you fill out. Is the first thing that you fill out on eBay, is the first thing that you fill out on, if you were to create your own listing on Shopify. So the title is where the genesis begins, where it all starts. And, like Ryan said, most of the time we only have, maybe just a small, slight description of what the product is. And better yet, I've had clients where they call the product like a whole different, like it's like the cyber truck, or like it's like so vague. It's like, okay, dude, like I get that that works on Shopify and if that's your vision on your website, you are the boss, absolutely. But let's be a little bit more layman's terms here for Google Merchant Center so that we can match searcher with the actual product. So what better way to do that than make sure that at least having the actual product, aka the search terms that file in the future, either a color, size, if their genders involved. And the biggest one for me, because I do a lot of apparel, as Ryan knows, is the manufacturer part number or the SKU. There's always going to be for shoes. There's especially like work shoes, boots, or something. There's going to be that weird, model number is like MP4568 whatever. Have that on there, and it just depends on industry, but we want to be as full and elaborative in that title as possible. I believe that the product title character limit on Google Merchant Center is around like 150 characters. I'm not saying spam all 150 characters. I believe, rough estimate between 50, maybe 50 to 70 characters, so half of that 150, as long as you continue to be descriptive and not redundant. Don't keyword stuff on your actual product title. Be more specific, and don't be, just don't have anything on there that doesn't describe the actual product. And another tip that I like to tell people is, if you already have all of it filled out, most of us already do because we have an API that pulls from whatever backend we're using to Google Merchant Center. Then go through the actual product description, go through the actual taxonomy to get ideas, even the colors, things like that that are already filled out. Then go back, scroll up to the actual product title and, fill it in. One example that I use now is it doesn't really have to be you conjuring up a whole new title. It, like Ryan said, it's almost like you're testing sometimes, just because you might just need to take third character and make third character first character and first character second character third, or maybe your fifth character is the most descriptive one, but it's all the way in the back. I have one example from an old Caviar client where they always just had their brand as the first word, and their brand was so long. It's like, okay, I understand that this is caviar, but what caviar am I actually looking at? Is it roe caviar, czar caviar, sturgeon caviar, beluga caviar? So I took those search terms, which I saw in the report, and just put in the front. And I saw a very large increase in CTR. I don't remember how much it was, but that from the gate is all you need sometimes to just test and see, okay, I just need to kind of rearrange things. Why is my first word men's? Blah, blah, blah. I know that, you know what I'm saying? Make the actual search term that is unique as an identifier the first thing. Any thoughts on that, Ryan, before I move to my final little segment?
Yeah, definitely. You and I, we're not cut from the same cloth. If you're talking about caviar and you just named all the different caviars out there, I don't even know one. So, go you. No, yeah, I think again, you're spot on. It's really, I do say to people, make sure you do include your brand name, but put it at the end, you know. And the reason for that is you want probably what's going to get the click. To be the first thing. So the most descriptive thing to be the first thing. So like again, using that point, I guess, Nike Air Jordans, that would be your first thing. Okay, yeah, you could say Nike's the brand, but it's not your brand if you're a reseller of that shoe. You could put like Foot Locker or something at the end of that, at the very end of the product title, because that way you are building up your brand presence, and people will even subconsciously see that, okay, oh, I know these guys, I've seen them before or something like that, and it can help with a brand campaign as well. So you also kind of get that in there. But yeah, just having a proper structure to your title. I think Gene is right in the fact that it's somewhere around 50 to 70 characters cut off on mobile. And on desktop, yeah, I think you have up to like 150, 125, something like that character limit. But yeah, if you can kind of get what you need to say done in the first 30 to 50, then you've got giving yourself a lot of wiggle room there and stuff. But yeah, don't worry about keyword stuff. And like Gene says, just be as descriptive and as clear as possible. But that's a good little tip what Gene had. Take a look at the search terms report inside maybe your search campaign or your standard shopping campaign. Look at what people are searching for to find your products and add that search term into the product title.
Absolutely. And the last thing before we get to Ryan is, you know, if you don't have maybe like an idea exactly how to either structure or test your product title, or maybe even improve it, there are a lot of different GPTs on ChatGPT that, I've seen on LinkedIn, and you could DM us or comment if you'd like to for us to send you some of those, and they can actually help. There are prompts in there already. If someone has gone through and created all these crazy prompts and taken the time to think of all these things, and they could figure out a couple baseline fundamental starting points for you. So yeah, make things easy. Make sure that you create that title where it's descriptive, and this is one of the things that's going to get you from a good Google Ads PPC manager to next level, especially if you're working on e-commerce. I don't know how many clients that's come my way, focus solely only on Google Ads, PMAX, shopping, all those things, and totally neglect all the needs, the attention, or in this case, product title optimizations on Google Merchant Center. So that's my tip. Go ahead, Ryan. If you don't have anything else to add, it's your turn.
Oh, okay, cool. Um, I was expecting more. I was listening intently for you to keep going, but
No,
they're
that's
so
good.
quick. I don't really have that many tips. I've just got the one tip for now because I think if we're going to make a whole series of this, then let's kind of, you know, spread it out a little bit. The biggest thing that I can suggest to people at the moment is something that I've been going through the past few months, and it's so frustrating. So it's a feature that used to be free in Google Merchant Center, and now it is not like automatically in there, if that makes sense. So what you need to do, it's called Advanced Data Source Management, and you may originally know it as supplement feed. So originally in Google Merchant Center, it was all automatically you could add a product feed, your main feed, and then you could add a supplement feed. But now they've renamed it. They've called it Advanced Data Source Management, and you have to go into the little cog settings. You have to click add-ons, and it's in there. But you can't do it unless you're a super admin or an owner of the Google Merchant Center account. So you may need to ask your client to turn it on for you. So yeah, big thing for me because I used to love supplement feeds. I would use them all the time. And why is it important? What is a supplement feed? What is the goal here? What we're trying to do? Well, with your main data source feed, it's pulling information, whether it's an API from Spotify into Spotify, no, Shopify. I get so confused with that
I
all the
know.
time. Into shop from Shopify into Google Merchant Center, it's the API. So it's not going to touch that. That is your main product feed, your main data source. So the only way of doing that really is to edit the actual product, which you can do with the pencil icon inside Google Merchant Center. Edit it on, well, Shopify's end. I guess you could do that as well. Or the other option would be to create a supplement feed. So think of a supplement feed as overwriting the main product feed, but not actually editing it or touching it. So your main product feed will stay intact. But if you want to say, well, actually, I want to add this product title, you're not going to change the main product feed. The API doesn't get touched, but you can create a supplement feed where you change all the product titles and link them together with the item ID. So you're overwriting the main product feed, but not actually editing it. It stays intact. So you could easily switch off that supplement feed, and the original product titles will be intact and will be the same as what they were. Other case points, you can use them for sales. And this is something that I was trying to do with one of my clients for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but it was just very difficult. Because she didn't create the Google Merchant Center account, somebody else did. We didn't have their contact details. Tried emailing them, but never heard back from them. So we were in a very difficult position where we actually couldn't run the sale for Black Friday or Cyber Monday because she couldn't add on the feature. I couldn't. And there was too many products to go through to individually change the price. So we just couldn't run it in the end, which is a shame. But this is why it's important to make sure you have access to someone who is the owner of the Google Merchant Center account who can add on the advanced data source management. So you can use things like, sales and create a supplement feed for sales. Today I did it as well. We didn't have it in this account, but I was doing some stuff inside Google Merchant Center, changing the custom labels, and this is something that is really good. And again, is a little bit of an underused, underutilized, underrated feature of Google Merchant Center is custom labels. So rather than saying, right, okay, I need to exclude all of these products from this standard shopping campaign, exclude all of these products from the Performance Max campaign, you can just select a custom label, call it whatever you want to, whether it's best sellers, high margin, low performers, whether it's, anything else, you can call it a custom label and then select that custom label, exclude all of that. So, for example, I'm doing a high performers or a best sellers versus low performers. So the work I was doing today was going in, and I identified after doing the work, okay, these 100 products are all low performers, bad return on ad spend, no sales, no conversions, money spent here and there. So I'm taking those out, creating a new campaign. I'm going to give them a new lease of life to see which products are going to, you know, rise to the top and be good converters. So took me about an hour because we didn't have the supplement feed, and I had to go through and manually individually edit each of those products and give it a custom label as low performers. Gene, do you know what I'm talking about here, or you just kind of was a little bit like unsure then? I didn't know if you knew.
No, yeah, custom labels are great. Sometimes I use them for, I have an apparel customer. They have like different homecoming products. They have different like Black Friday sales. They have different like, it's just different things that they push throughout the year. So instead of going through and manually even going back to the native Google Ads and doing the PMAX and changing the asset groups that they belong to, or product groups that they belong to, you can just, make sure that it's good on the GMC side. So yeah, definitely
Yeah,
agree there.
yeah, that's cool. So that's pretty much what I was doing today, having to manually do it because we didn't have access to the advanced data source management. And I didn't want to bother the client because I thought, well, it's not, if it was 5,000 products, if it was 50,000 products, then I would have probably reached out to the client and said, can you add on this feature? And I would have walked them through it. But for 100 products, I thought I can, it's going to take me like half an hour to do. I can just do it. So I did it, and it's just easy that way because you can edit each individual product. But for most cases, yeah, I would have easily done a supplement feed. I love supplement feeds. I love to use them where I can. And think of it as just overwriting the main product feed, but not actually editing the main product feed. So it's still intact. It's still there. You're just adding a supplement to that, and it can work really well. So I think that's really important because again, often overlooked, often underutilized, but a very important feature in Google Merchant Center, especially for things like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, flash sales, where you don't want to edit the original price, you want to do a one-time sale offer. Or, like I said, for custom label management, where you've got so many different products, underperformers, best sellers, high margin, things like that. And you want to identify through custom labels which product belongs to which. So, yeah, take a look at add-ons, advanced data source management. If you are the owner of the Google Merchant Center account, go in, add that in, and your Google Ads account manager will be very happy. And if you don't have one, if you don't have a Google Ads account manager, feel free to send us an email at the ppccave@gmail.com, and Gene and I'll get back to you. So, yeah. What did you think about that, Gene? Any thoughts on custom labels, on supplement feeds, or advanced data source management?
Yeah, for the custom labels, that's something that you introduced to me maybe like last year. I didn't really, you know, go deep into it, until I had this one that I told you, a client that does apparel that spends a lot of money, and they have so many different custom products, and they're continually shuffling in and out, and sometimes it'll be out of stock, and then sometimes it'll come back in stock. So that's another custom label that I would use, in stock or out of stock, because you don't want to have that, obviously, something that's out of stock, because first of all, it's not going to show, and it could skew other data. So that's something that's, I think, more next level, that you're not going to get from your average Joe Google Merchant Center or Google Ads podcast, that you'll get from here. We want to make not only our clients' lives easier, but also our own lives easier. So we're here to show you tricks of the trade and ways to just kind of utilize the infrastructure that Google Merchant Center provides. So yeah, I thought that was really really awesome. Um,
Cool.
but yeah, any other closing thoughts, Ryan? I think this was a good episode to really dive deep into, like you said, only one point, just because GMC, Google Merchant Center, is just very dense, and sometimes it's hard to follow, especially if you just hear two guys yapping. So, this might be something that we even expand to more of like a visual, on-screen thing down the road. Any final thoughts?
I think it has to be at some point because, like you said, it's very complicated, very complex. A lot of people, business owners, don't really know how to, but I don't even think they really know about Merchant Center. I think they have Shopify and then Google Ads, and they think, great, it works. But there's not that intermediary, there's not that linking thing there that they realize, I don't think. So there's a lot of knowledge that we need to kind of share in terms of Google Merchant Center. And I think if we can show more demonstrational stuff as well, that would be really cool. Like walkthroughs, even I can't even remember if we had it on the channel, but I had it on my notes to do a how to add someone to Google Merchant Center, how to add a user inside Google Merchant Center, things like that. I think could be really beneficial for business owners, because if you can get your account manager inside Google Merchant Center, typically they can take care of the rest. So yeah, definitely visuals would be good down the road. And like we said, there's so many different things to Google Merchant Center that we can discuss. But side note, I do want to make a shout out. Can I make a shout out?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
Go
Nice.
for it,
Well,
brother.
so yeah, I have a friend here in the UK. Just one. No, no one else wants to be my friend.
One guy.
But one guy only, and he actually very sweet, and he's a business owner himself in the pressure washing niche, and I'm helping him out a lot. And I know he's been listening to our many episodes on his way to work and back and different jobs and things like that. So he's been listening on Spotify. And yeah, I just want to shout out to Damo. So thanks for listening. Thanks for following us. Thanks for supporting us. Appreciate it, brother. But yeah, I'd like to do a lot more content around lead generation. I think this is still quite a heavy e-commerce based podcast. So I think it'd be cool to maybe do a series specifically on lead generation. So pressure washing, maybe plumbing, HVAC, pest control, things like that. What do you think? I mean, I know you're more e-commerce, but you could chirp in,
Yeah.
right?
I got two lead gen clients now, technically. I have an
Oh, he's
opt
growing.
Yeah, so I'm
Damn.
growing. No, I'm more than happy to learn from Ryan and chime in when I can. So absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, cool, cool. Well, that's it from me. Good episode, I think, and excited to expand on this series and get real deep into Merchant Center and stuff.
Absolutely. And you heard it from Ryan. If you're interested in more Google Merchant Center or even just more Google Ads content in general, every week on Mondays at 12 a.m. Mountain Time, we release on Spotify Video, YouTube, and Ryan does a great job of keeping up with the socials on TikTok, IG Reels, and YouTube Reels. And we're just gonna keep on providing y'all more value. If you have any questions or would like to maybe speak on a specific topic, just hit us up on the PPC Cave at gmail.com or leave a comment below. And if there's nothing else, we'll talk to y'all next time. Bye for now.